I knew something was off when I saw the seating chart. Yeah, she made a seating chart for a family dinner. Handwritten, color-coded, and taped to the fridge like it was some kind of wedding reception. 14 names. 14 spots. Neat little boxes. My name wasn't on it. At first, I thought maybe it was a mistake. She forgot. She was rushing. Maybe it fell off? But nope, I triple-checked. Everyone else was there. Even the neighbor's daughter, who was only coming to drop off Tupperware. Even Colby. Yes, that Colby. I wasn't mad yet. Just embarrassed. You ever feel like a ghost in your own house? I grabbed a folding chair from the garage and squeezed it next to the end of the table. No one looked up. No one offered to scoot over. Not even her. Cassidy just kept chopping parsley like it was a competition. I stood there holding a metal chair like an idiot, while she argued with her mom about gluten-free salad dressing. Colby was already in the dining room, telling my nephew a story that involved parachutes and goats. I didn't ask. I set my chair down, sat in it, didn't say a word, and still, no one noticed. They passed plates over me, reached around me, spoke past me. At one point, her uncle asked if I was the new handyman. We've been married 9 years. Then came the laugh. Her laugh. Loud. Guttural. Too real. I looked up. She was leaning on Colby's arm like her spine gave out. He said something about a raccoon in a kayak, and she lost it. Full snort laugh, the kind that made her clutch her side. It echoed. Everyone smiled. Everyone except me. And here's the part I'm still trying to believe actually happened. My son, my actual son, leaned over and said, "Mom said you're gonna leave early. You work tomorrow, right?" I didn't answer, because at that moment, I realized the awful truth. They were all fine without me. No one needed me there. No one wanted me there. And worse, they had already planned for me to be gone. So I stood up, left my plate untouched, slid the chair back to the garage. Then I walked out the front door, through the side gate, and down the street in the cold. No coat, no keys, no shoes. Just socks. Black dress socks on concrete. No one called after me. No one followed. And she? She was too busy laughing with her ex to even notice. You'd think someone would notice when a grown man walks out of his own house during dinner, in socks, into the night. But no, not a peep. Not even a "Where'd Wendell go?" And I waited for it. I stood at the corner of the street for a good 10 minutes, watching our lit-up dining room window like some rejected side character in a Hallmark movie. The silhouettes moved and danced inside like I never existed. I didn't go far, just ended up at the park down the road. Sat on one of those cold metal benches next to the sandbox. I was still wearing my wedding ring. I remember fidgeting with it, twisting it so hard my knuckle turned red. In my mind, I kept telling myself, maybe she's worried. Maybe she's looking for you. Give it 10 more minutes. But deep down, I already knew. What I didn't expect was to be erased so fast. By the time I got back home, about an hour later, after walking through half the neighborhood like a lost church dad, I opened Facebook to a tag notification. My cousin had liked a photo Cassidy posted. The caption said, "Family dinner vibes, red heart, wine glass, love, having everyone close again." The picture was taken in our backyard. Everyone was smiling. Even Colby, standing next to her with his dumb flannel shirt, and that smug, "I've slept in this house before" energy. And me? I was in the background. Blurry. Mid-step. Walking away. She had cropped the photo so perfectly, you'd think I wasn't even part of it. It hit me harder than I expected. I stared at that picture for too long. Zoomed in. Stared at my own shoulder. I wasn't even tagged. She tagged Colby. She tagged my son. She tagged her nail text dog account. But not her husband. There was a version of me that wanted to walk back in the house and demand an explanation. Yell. Slam something. Force the world to remember I was part of it. But instead, I walked around to the back of the house, climbed over the side fence like a stranger, and sat in the garage, in the dark, next to the spare fridge, just breathing. I heard her laughing through the walls. Still laughing. Still not asking where I was. That was the moment it clicked. I wasn't just being ignored. I was being edited out. Like she was slowly photoshopping me out of her life, one moment at a time. No fights. No yelling. No divorce threats. Just slow, calculated invisibility. And what scared me most? It was working. The day after the dinner, I got a text from my sister. "Heard you were moody last night. Everything okay?" It stopped me mid-chew during breakfast. I blinked at the screen, trying to figure out what part of walking out of my own house during dinner in socks and silence translated into moody. I didn't even respond right away. I just scrolled up and saw she had sent me a gift the day before. Something dumb. A cat dancing in a sombrero. I hadn't replied to that either. I called her. Told her everything. The dinner. The chair situation. The laugh. The photo. The crop. Every humiliating beat. She was quiet for a second, then said, Cass told me you've just been off lately. Like, going through a phase or something. A phase. Not pain. Not neglect. Not slow, intentional emotional starvation. A phase. Like I was 15 and dyeing my hair black to impress a girl who smoked cloves behind the gym. And what do you even say to that? Thanks for the update on my own marriage. Good to know I've been downgraded to moody mascot of this circus. I didn't say anything. I just hung up. And then I sat there staring at the cracked tile in our kitchen, thinking about how many times I'd fixed it over the years. One by one. I used to care about that. I used to care about this house. Now it just felt like an empty aquarium, and I was the last fish choking on stale water. Later that night, Cassidy came home late. I knew she wasn't working. The restaurant she manages closes at 9. She walked in at 10:42. Her perfume hit the hallway before she did, stronger than usual, like it was sprayed in defense. She didn't apologize. She didn't offer an explanation. She just kicked off her heels, checked her phone, and said, "Did you eat?" Yeah, I said, even though I hadn't. She grabbed a yogurt from the fridge. I watched her eat it standing up, like she was in a rush to get away from the air between us. I asked, carefully, "You told Marley I'm going through a phase?" She didn't even blink. "You kind of are," she said between spoonfuls. "You've been dramatic lately. And disappearing without saying anything? Like, come on." I wanted to scream. I wanted to flip the table, throw the yogurt, anything to make her see me. But I didn't. Because that's not what I do. That's never been what I do. I nodded. Like an idiot. Like a man politely agreeing with his own erasure. Then she walked off mid-conversation. "Got work in the morning," she muttered. And just like that, she was gone again. I stood there for a while, in that pathetic half-lit kitchen, watching the yogurt lid she left on the counter, next to an empty fork. Not even a spoon. And I thought about how it's always been like this. Just slightly off. Slightly cold. Slightly wrong. But now it wasn't even slight. It was loud. Deliberate. And I was starting to wonder if she was doing all of this because she wanted me to walk away again. Because the first time, when I left that dinner, she didn't chase me. She didn't ask questions. She just kept laughing. And I'm starting to believe that was the plan all along. I wasn't looking for anything. That's the part that really messes with my head. I wasn't snooping. I wasn't playing detective. I was just trying to move a pile of laundry off the couch. But her laptop was there, glowing, humming softly, left open on the coffee table like a trap with no bait. Cassidy never leaves her electronics open. Ever. I once saw her lock her iPad just to walk across the room. Her phone has a face scan, a fingerprint, and a 6-digit code. It buzzes on silent, always face down. And yet here was her laptop, open, unattended, and pointed at a screen full of glowing blue bubbles. I hovered for a second, told myself to be better, told myself to just close the lid and keep folding socks. But then a name caught my eye at the top of the chat window, one I hadn't seen in years. Colby Reinhardt. Again, my stomach tightened, like a coiled spring in my chest. I didn't click, didn't scroll, just read what was already visible on the screen. Cassidy. He still thinks I just work late. It's almost sad. Colby. You're a savage face with tears of joy, but hey, at least he irons napkins. Cassidy. Stop face with tears of joy, OMG. I swear if I ever vanish one day, he'll just write a poem about it. Colby. He gives off. Let me know if I did something wrong. Energy 24/7. Cassidy. God, yes. It's like babysitting a wet sponge. I stared at that last sentence for so long, the screen dimmed. A wet sponge. That's how she saw me. Not a partner. Not a provider. Not the man who fixed her brakes at 2 a.m. on a freezing Sunday. Not the guy who went with her to every one of her dad's hospital visits and held her while she cried over a man who never hugged her back. No. To her, I was a sponge, soaking up her neglect. Soft. Pathetic. My heart didn't break. It froze. I heard the shower running upstairs, echoing through the pipes like a clock ticking down the rest of my dignity. I could hear her humming through the vent, some pop song she always played while pretending to be chill and low maintenance. I wanted to throw the laptop, smash it into the drywall, let the truth explode into our pristine, cold little house. But I didn't. I closed the laptop quietly, set it back on the table exactly how I found it. Then I went upstairs, sat on the edge of the bed, and waited for her to come out of the bathroom, wrapped in a towel and fake affection. When she did, she smiled at me. Not warmly, not like a wife. More like how you smile at someone you feel sorry for. "Hey, you okay?" she asked, drying her hair like nothing was wrong. I nodded. "Yeah, just tired." She nodded too, said nothing else. And as she turned away to put on lotion, humming again, I realized something with disturbing clarity. She wasn't afraid of me finding out. Because to her, I didn't matter enough for it to be a risk. She could lie in plain sight, laugh behind my back, and hum off-key down the hallway, because she had already filed me under irrelevant. And if I stayed silent long enough, I'd eventually remove myself from the story. Exactly like she wanted. I didn't pack out of rage. I wasn't storming out or doing the dramatic movie scene where the guy shoves shirts into a duffel bag while breaking lamps and breathing heavily. No, I was calm. Disturbingly calm. I folded everything the way she liked. Even rolled my socks, heel to toe. That stupid habit she taught me back when we thought being organized would somehow protect us from falling apart. It wasn't even a big bag. Just the navy blue gym duffel I got from work 2 years ago. Zippers half broken. Handles frayed. But it fit the essentials. 3 days worth of clothes, phone charger, wallet, my razor, and a copy of the things they carried. A book I hadn't touched in years but suddenly couldn't leave behind. Something about the title felt poetic in a way that made my stomach hurt. I was almost done when I heard the front door. She was home. I didn't rush. I didn't hide what I was doing. If anything, I positioned the bag more openly on the bed. Maybe I wanted her to see. Maybe I thought, just maybe, seeing me packing would snap her out of whatever detached alternate universe she'd been living in. That she'd say, "Wait, don't go." That her eyes would widen and fill with something, anything. Instead, she walked into the room, took one look at the bag, then at me, and said, "Are you just trying to guilt-trip me?" No anger, no panic, no tears, just that flat, clinical tone, the one she uses when talking to customer service. I didn't even know what to say. For a second, I forgot how to speak. My throat locked up like it didn't want me to waste the breath. "I'm not trying anything," I finally said. "I'm just leaving. For a bit." She laughed. Laughed. It wasn't loud, more of a half-snort. A tired, sarcastic sound like I'd just told her I was becoming a magician or joining a pyramid scheme. "Where are you even gonna go?" she asked, not mockingly, but genuinely confused. "You don't do that." And there it was. I don't do that. I don't leave. I don't fight back. I don't call her out. I just absorb. Like a sponge. Her words echoed back from that chat thread in my head. I zipped the bag slowly. "I'll figure it out," I said. She crossed her arms, leaning on the door frame like she was watching a neighbor back out of the driveway with a flat tire. "So this is what? A dramatic exit? You'll be back tomorrow once you cool off?" I stood up, slinging the bag over my shoulder. My body felt heavier than it should. My chest buzzed with the static of everything I wasn't saying. But I didn't answer her question. Instead, I looked her dead in the eye and asked one of my own. "Did you ever really love me? Or did I just make you feel safe until someone better showed up again?" She didn't answer. Not with words. She blinked. Once, slowly, then looked away. At the mirror behind me. At herself. She adjusted her hair. That told me everything. I walked out the door, down the stairs, past the coat rack I built for her birthday 3 years ago. The one she never uses. Past the dining table still stained with wine from the night her ex made her laugh so hard she cried. I didn't slam the door. I didn't make a scene. I just left. But the real twist? As I pulled out of the driveway, I looked in the rearview mirror. She was standing at the window, watching me, expressionless, almost like she was relieved. She didn't call. Not that night. Not the next morning. Not even a text to ask where I went. I slept in a run-down roadside motel just off Route 12, the kind with buzzing fluorescent lights and a questionable odor baked into the walls. $48. Cash only. The kind of place where no one asks why you're checking in with dead eyes and a gym bag. I lay there all night, staring at the popcorn ceiling, letting the TV play some reality show I wasn't really watching. There's something especially soul-crushing about hearing people scream at each other over stage drama while your own life disintegrates in total silence. By morning, I still hadn't heard from Cassidy. The woman I'd given 9 years of my life to couldn't even muster a single "Are you okay?" Meanwhile, the only notification on my phone was from my bank, an alert that someone had spent $126 at a wine bar in our neighborhood. At 11:03 a.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. I hesitated, thumb hovering, already expecting some robocall about extended warranties. But something in me said to answer. Maybe I wanted it to be her. Maybe part of me thought this would be the start of the begging, the apology, the real version of her finally emerging through the static of everything we'd become. But it wasn't her. It was him. "Hey, Wendell." Surprised? It took me a full 3 seconds to recognize the voice. Smug. Slippery. Like someone smiling while lying through their teeth. "Colby." I almost dropped the phone. "How did you get this number?" I asked, heart racing like I'd been caught stealing from my own house. "I'm not stalking you or anything," he said, like that was the kind of thing innocent people always say. "Cass gave it to me a while back. Said I should check on you if you ever spiraled." If I ever spiraled. He kept talking, like we were old friends catching up over beers instead of two men awkwardly connected by one woman's unraveling attention span. "She's worried about you, man. Said you've been in a weird headspace." I told her she needs to be patient. "You're just a sensitive guy, right?" I didn't say anything. My fingers clenched so tight around the phone I heard it creak. Then he said something that froze every inch of my body. "You know, if you ever need someone to take care of her, I'm always around. You know what I mean?" The pause that followed felt like someone cutting the air with a blade. Was it a joke? A threat? An offer? He laughed. Not a hearty laugh. More like a low, deliberate chuckle. Like he knew exactly what he was doing. Like he was marking territory. "I'm just messing with you," he added. "Relax." But there was no relaxing. Not anymore. I hung up. Didn't say goodbye. Just ended the call and stared at my own reflection in the dusty motel mirror. My face looked like it had aged 5 years overnight. Eyes bloodshot. Jaw clenched. Not angry. Just hollow. Like I'd already left and the guy in the mirror was just hanging around out of habit. She gave him my number. She told him to check on me. She trusted him with something so personal when she hadn't even checked on me herself. And now he was toying with me. Mocking me. Claiming space in her life that used to be mine. But what scared me most, more than anything he said, was the fact that I didn't feel surprised. Somewhere deep down, I knew this wasn't the beginning of anything. This was the middle of something she'd already started months ago. And I was only now waking up in the middle of the storm, while she stood dry under her umbrella, watching from a distance. I didn't plan on going back. I swear I didn't. I had every intention of staying gone. Disappearing quietly, taking a few days to clear my head, maybe drive west until the ocean told me to stop. But something about that call with Colby got under my skin. The arrogance. The possessiveness. The way he used her name like he owned it now. It made me feel haunted. So the next morning, before I even realized what I was doing, I was already halfway down the old highway, pulling into our neighborhood like a stranger returning to the scene of a crime. Everything looked too normal. Lawns mowed. Trash bins neatly rolled back. My neighbor, Greg, was out front watering his tulips in socks and Crocs like nothing had shifted, like the world hadn't cracked open 2 days ago. I parked across the street, heart punching my ribs like it was trying to escape. I expected to see her car. I expected to see his maybe. I expected tension, confrontation, anything but what I found. Nothing. Silence. The house looked frozen in time. Curtains drawn. Porch lights still on from the night before. I walked to the door with a sense of dread I couldn't explain. I didn't know what I was hoping for. A clue, a scream, maybe even her throwing something at me for leaving. But when I stepped inside, the house greeted me like a tomb. No Cassidy. No sound. No perfume trail. Just the faint hum of the refrigerator and the quiet ticking of the kitchen clock. 11:47 a.m. I stood there for a while, unsure of what to do with my own body. The bag I had left with still sat by the coat rack, untouched, like I had just gone out to check the mail and never came back. I walked into the kitchen out of habit and opened the fridge to drink something. Anything, just to feel grounded. And that's when I saw it. A folded note. It was wedged behind one of the souvenir magnets we'd gotten in New Orleans, the one with the alligator holding a trumpet. I never noticed it before, but it wasn't old. The fold was crisp. The paper was clean. I pulled it out, unfolded it with trembling hands, and read 5 words written in her messy, rushed handwriting. Don't believe everything he says. That was it. No name. No explanation. Just those words, scratched in black ink, like a warning from someone stuck in a place she couldn't escape. My heart dropped. I read it again and again, trying to decipher the meaning. Was it about Colby? About me? Was she trying to plant doubt before I found something else? Then I noticed the handwriting wasn't just rushed. It looked shaky, as if it was written in a hurry. Or fear. I scanned the kitchen like I was seeing it for the first time. The wine glasses were gone. So were her sneakers. Her laptop, which was usually on the counter, had disappeared. The trash was empty. Too empty. I walked to the bedroom. Her drawer was slightly open, half her clothes missing. The closet, less full. She didn't just stay home while I was gone. She had been leaving, too. And she left a note like a breadcrumb for me to find. I sat on the edge of the bed and held that note like it was radioactive, because suddenly I didn't know what the hell was happening anymore. Was she playing games with both of us? Was she being manipulated? Or was I? Because if she was warning me about Colby, then why had she invited him in? Why had she watched me leave without blinking? Unless that was part of it. Unless she needed me out of the house. Unless something was happening behind that curtain of laughter. Something deeper, darker, and way more dangerous than I ever imagined. I spent the next few hours walking through that house like it belonged to someone else. The air felt different. Charged, but not heavy. Like something had lifted, but left behind the scent of its presence. I held that note. Don't believe everything he says. Like it might turn to dust if I blinked too hard. I didn't call her. I didn't text. Instead, I did something I hadn't done in years. I opened the cabinet above the fridge, the one with the router, the modem, the random junk drawer stuff, and I pulled out the old password binder. Cassidy made it years ago, color-coded tabs and all. I flipped to smart devices and found what I was looking for, driveway cam/indoor cam, Arlo app. I downloaded it. And that's when the truth finally crawled into the light. The camera system hadn't been disabled like I thought, just logged out. And when I got in there it was. Motion alerts, clips, timestamps. All those days I was at work, all the nights she claimed to be working late. There were gaps, a few deleted files, some silence. But one clip, from 3 nights before the family dinner, was still there. It showed Cassidy in the living room, pacing. She was on the phone, loud, angry, with Colby. I told you I don't want to do this anymore, she snapped. I said one dinner, and you showed up like you live here. Wendell doesn't deserve this. Silence. Then she added, if you ever show up again without me asking, I'll go to the cops. You don't get to decide who I'm married to. I paused the video, rewound it, watched it again. My throat clenched. So it wasn't her laughing at Colby during the dinner. It was her surviving him. He had forced himself back into her life. Charming, worming, manipulating. And she let him in because she thought keeping it friendly would make him go away. Because she was scared of what he'd do if she pushed too hard, too fast. She wasn't mocking me. She was protecting me. And when she saw me walk out of that dinner, maybe, just maybe, she thought I was walking away from her. That she had lost me, too. The note. It wasn't a puzzle. It was a plea. I didn't wait. I called her. Straight up. No hesitation. Her voice cracked when she answered. Where are you? She asked. Please, I thought you were. I found the note. I interrupted softly. And the footage. She didn't say anything. But I heard the breath catch in her throat. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner, she finally whispered. I was ashamed. I thought I could handle it. And I didn't want you to think I still. I don't, I said. Not anymore. But I get it now. Silence again. But this time, it wasn't cold. It was full. Heavy. Honest. We met at a coffee shop 2 hours later. No grand speech. No public crying. Just 2 people sitting across from each other, stripped of all performance, all pride. She told me everything. How Colby had started reaching out again through mutual friends, showing up unexpectedly, guilt-tripping her. How she had tried to manage it quietly, thinking she could shield me. How she thought I'd see her as weak if she admitted she was scared. I told her I wasn't leaving. Not like that. Not unless she gave me a reason. And she hadn't. We decided to take a break. Real one this time. Therapy. Together and apart. New locks. Full reset. Not because it would be easy, but because we finally stopped pretending things were fine. And that, weirdly, painfully, felt like the beginning of something better. The world didn't change overnight. But I did. I wasn't the sponge anymore. I finally let myself dry off.